seemed like a good place.
To our final town hall meeting of 2021. Today is November 16th. If you're joining us on virtually, we ask that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom when it's time, your opportunity to make comments or ask questions. So we're going to start out like we normally do. I'm going to make a few comments, do a little bragging, and then we'll open it up to any questions from anybody in the room or virtually for anything that you'd like to talk about. We'll start out bragging on our Water Resources Department. From the Georgia Association of Water Professionals, we received the Gold Distribution System Excellence Award and also the Gold Collection System Excellence Award. So water coming and going, they're doing a great job down there getting it done. Also, Oconee County Parks and Rec was named the Georgia Association of Recreation and Parks, the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association State Agency of the Year for our population group. So that's very exciting as well. Also, Jamie Antwine, one of our volunteer coaches, received the District 7 Volunteer of the Year Award. So very excited about those two items. The other very exciting thing that we want to talk about is broadband. We've entered into a contract with Charter Communications to serve unserved locations within the county. Part of the deal, well, Charter's already received some federal funding to grab a lot of the southern end of the county, so we're partnering with them. They're using those resources as well as some county funds that will be used to supplement to reach these addresses. So approximately 2,200 addresses that are considered unserved in our county will receive service hopefully within the next 2 years. Now, everybody knows, so these lists of the 2,200 comes from DCA, where they get information from the providers. So there's no doubt in my mind there are more than 2,200 unserved locations in Oconee County, so expect that number to grow. So we have on our website right now your opportunity to go in and put your name and address if you want to double down to make sure your address is checked for service. So you just go to oconeecounty.com. It's going to be right on the page in the middle. You click on it, you fill out just a few items, and that is put into the database for Charter to come out and check you. So I know, like where I live, technically the map shows that I'm served, but I got the test to prove that I'm not. So my name is going to be on that list as well. Like I said, we anticipate a 2-year build out on this. They're going to start on the south end with the money they've already received from the federal government. We've also, the county will pay $1,000 for per pass for the 1,700 that's not included in federal funding. In addition to that, we've told Charter, anybody you connect in 2022 will pay an additional $200 connection fee for that as well. So we hope that will incentivize them to go. So the first part of the process is a field verification, and that's going to take about 90 days. They're actually going to put people on the ground to go around and check all the addresses that DCA shows as unserved, as well as addresses that you'll be adding to that. And once they get the final count on that, they'll come back to us and we'll kind of finalize that list. Road projects, we've got several road projects going on we want to kind of update everybody on. La Vista Road at 441. We're doing an intersection improvement there in cooperation with the Department of Transportation. And that is currently in the programming phase. So hopefully that'll be put with a final date for construction. But plans, everybody agrees with the plans that have been submitted. And they're just looking at getting final approval within GDOT and then get the financing worked out. We have 2 roundabouts on design, Snows Mill Road at Rocky Branch at 53. That's in the final review to approve the concept. Also Race Church Road at Malcolm Bridge at 53. That concept has been approved, so they're kind of moving to the next phase to figure out what kind of right-of-way we need there. Union Church Road at State Route 53. Traffic signal plans and permit are currently being routed for approval. So hopefully we can get that started in the first quarter of next year. You'll see a traffic signal at Union Church in 53. And if you've been down Experiment Station Road, you've noticed the cones. And if you've been there in the daytime when they were cutting trees down, you noticed the delays. So that will continue to happen for approximately 24 months. Hopefully quicker, but just be prepared. The grubbing and clearing will continue till the end of the month, as well as some erosion control stuff, and then hopefully we'll see pipes start going in the ground in the December timeframe. We also have a grant we received from the Department of Transportation to do lane widening on Simonton Bridge Road. That'll be similar to what we did on Hog Mountain Road. They'll add 2 feet to each side of the roadway. So that is scheduled to start any day now. As soon as the contractor finishes up their current project, they'll be moving on to Simonton Bridge, and also part of Rocky Branch Road will also be extended lane widths. With that, we'll open it up to any questions, comments, or emotional outbursts from anybody.
Hallelujah, long time coming.
I do believe some of Goble Road is on the list, is unserved, but you definitely want to go on the website and put your information in to make sure that that gets double checked.
Can you tell us what's considered served? In other words, like I have a satellite that's supposed to give me 25 megabytes per second, guaranteed, and I get 3.
Do you remember the number, Justin?
I fired the other satellite company that promised 25 megabytes per second, because they only gave me 2. So, you know, I can see somebody looking at my property and go, well, he's got 25 megabytes per second internet, but I don't. You know, I've got, you know, I can't stream a movie. I can't, it's a non-functioning internet. I mean, all I can do is basically load a web page if it's not got a lot of pictures on it, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm curious about
25 up and down.
So it's 25 down, 3 up.
It's 25 down, 3 up is the official definition from the state on whether you have broadband or not. And there are tests you can run, but I don't think they'll consider satellite as a served location at this point.
Well, you know, their sales promotional literature says they give 25 to 50 megabytes per second download and then 10 or 15 upload. And then you call them and tell them, I can't stream a movie, or, you know, and they send a guy out, he gets up on your roof, and the satellite goes, oh, you got 25 megabytes per second up here. But then that don't do me any good when I got 25 megabytes per second up on the roof. At the TV, I got 3, you know, but when I run speed tests with my phone or my TV, you know, I'm showing 3 or 4 megabytes per second. So, and I'm paying them an ungodly amount of money for the privilege of a non-functional internet right now.
Well, definitely put your name on, go on that website and punch it in.
I just
And
didn't want to get passed by because they go, oh, well, he's got, you know, satellite and he don't need it, because I need it. You know?
very good.
What I want to know is who do I drive to get them to start on my road? Can I drive somebody? I mean, I'll take up a collection of our neighbors. I guarantee you, I could probably buy a nice steak dinner for whoever wants to start. I'm saying that facetiously, but I do know from being, you know, I view this as similar, John, to like when the county's deciding which roads to pave, you know, resurfacing roads. There's always a question of, well, which one needs it the worst, and where do we start? And I just didn't know if there's a way for us to plead our case, so to speak, to say, hey, we've been suffering long enough, and can we, you know, or will there be ways that we can go on Charter's web, you know, whoever's website, and see, will they put out a production schedule where they say, okay, we're going to be in this part of the county, and then we're going to be, you know, so that we as homeowners can anticipate. I mean, I've been waiting a long time to start a home business, and I can't do a home business right now because I don't have a functional internet. And it would really help me to know a schedule.
So we know we won't have anything for 90 days. They're going to have to go out and verify everything. Getting your name on the list is the top priority. It's my understanding they will start on the south end because they've already done some preliminary engineering in that area because they've already have funding secured. So they've already kind of done some work on that end. But once they look at everything, it may be they just have to jump the creek like you talked about, and they can serve everybody. So
Is it going to be above ground cable hung on the poles, or y'all going to pay rent on the poles? I know, you know, from what I know about internet service before, internet providers have complained that the power companies were charging too high a rent on their poles, and it didn't make it, you know, feasible to get it placed.
no, there's legislation's been passed. All that's been kind of worked out at the state level on what pole attachment fees are. And it's totally up to Charter whether they want to go above ground or underground. Really, our goal is we're giving basically a grant to Charter to speed up their process and get them to come to Oconee County first.
But they might make a decision on certain areas to just bury the cable, not even put one of the rent on the pole.
That's right. Thanks.
You do have to go to Charter. I mean, if you've got one that works pretty good, pretty slow, you we have to change Charlotte, would be not go to that.
Do we know what it's gonna cost? Do we have any idea of what the?
It'll be their standard rates that are listed on their, whatever their normal retail rate is what they'll be charging. So,
We could go on their website now
Yes.
and get an idea of what
right.
it would cost, and is it, do you know if it's tiered? In other words, you pay for certain levels? or-
Yes, so based on the speed is what they charge you on, just like AT&T does, or probably your satellite even. So we have somebody virtually now. If you state your name for us.
Yes, this is Pamela Hall. And first of all, I want to thank you, John, and the board for support on getting something done about La Vista intersection. You mentioned that it's currently in the programming phase. Could you give me more details about what that means? And then what's the next phases that it has to go through before we'll actually see construction begin?
So programming is where they put it in their queue. They've got to find funding for that, and then a construction company to come in and do it. We don't have a set timeline on when that answer will be, but we are touching base with them every couple of weeks to kind of see where we are in the process. And we'll keep doing that until we get a confirmation on when the project can start. Okay, since we are doing virtual, we are going to ask you to come to the microphone when you make a comment so people that are online can hear what's going on. And just state your name if you would when that happens. Whoever would like to go next can come on up.
Thank you, Jeff Hood, Julian Court, Watkinsville. So just a couple of comments, very positive comments. We have 4 major high schools here in this county, and all 4 are playing in round 2 of the Georgia High School Association state football playoffs this Friday night. That would be Athens Academy, North Oconee, Oconee County, and Prince Avenue. And I hope everyone in the community will get out and support these kids. That's a major accomplishment to have 4 teams to go that deep in the playoffs, the Sweet 16. And two of the games are at home, and 2 of the teams will have to go on the road. So please get out and support those teams this Friday night. Also, a reminder that something that's free for the community coming up on Monday night, November the 29th at DGD here in the county is the Oconee County GOP is going to be hosting Georgia Governor Brian Kemp to speak, and also our state representatives Marcus Wiedauer and Houston Gaines will be giving an update on redistricting, and it's free. All you have to do is go to the Oconee GOP Facebook page and register and come on out, and should be very interesting Monday night, November 29th. So my question has to do with the T-SPLOS that did not pass. I personally voted for it because I like what it was for, transportation, and I like smooth roads, great intersections. But personally, I would rather have someone else come from out of the county, spend money, and they help pay for it. So that's why I voted for it. Unfortunately, it didn't pass. And I know this body endorsed it, but I think there was a mention that maybe if it did pass, maybe we'd see a slight reduction in millage, perhaps. So just kind of any one of you 5 gentlemen that want to speak on it not passing and kind of, where we go from here in terms of tax dollars, millage rate, and, just keeping I know there's still some roads that need to be improved in the county. Thank you.
I was definitely disappointed in the vote for sure. But I mean, we just have to keep doing what we've been doing. So I was the majority of the people that came out and voted felt like whatever we were doing on the roads was sufficient enough. So we'll keep plugging away like we've been doing and try to maintain good roadways best we can. So we'll just keep trying to add to the paving dollars that come from the general fund every year, which we've done in the last several years. So if we get a couple $100 extra $1,000 coming in, we're putting it toward roads. Anybody else?
Jeff, yes, I was disappointed in but the majority of those that voted spoke, so we have to adhere to that. I think what their thoughts were correct. I mean, it is difficult times for a lot of people with inflation, price of gas going up, so I can understand their hesitance to add another 1 cent sales tax. You're correct that those outside the community would have helped pay for these improvements. But the need to take care of our roads and our did not go away. We still have that requirement to do that. And instead of being able to push that schedule up on resurfacing, as the chairman mentioned, we'll just have to continue to plug along at the pace that we've been accustomed to the last few years. As it applies to millage rate, I think there's a concern that if they didn't vote for it, that they would see, an increase in millage rate. Well, personally, I'm still, supporting to slow down the pace of our increase of our millage rate. We can't do away with property taxes, but we certainly can slow down the growth of the millage rate. So we're going to have to find other ways. It may mean that some of the things that maybe other citizens want to see done, the pace may slow down so that we can, live within our means. And that's what the voters that said they wanted it. They wanted the commissioners to live within the means. So I think I heard that loud and clear.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make some comments too. That is a good question, Jeff. I was worried because I thought it was going to be a low turnout, which it was. And, I was reading and people were telling me some of the comments that were being made and against voting for it. This is my 13th year with the commission, and we got more people, we got more cars, and they wear out roads. And this is the kind of stuff I didn't understand, to be quite honest with you. One of my neighbors asked me, I think it was during early voting, who he needed to call about checking he lives in a cul-de-sac. And I said, well, I'll help you out. I'll call. And I got in touch with Justin. And then I saw the gentleman sometime later. And I said, did the county get by your road to look at your area? He said, yeah, man, they brought all kinds of equipment. And they jumped on that. And I said, well, they probably had to dig out the holes to build them back up. And then I found out he voted against the T-Spot. And I asked him, I said, well, I was confused. I said, you didn't call me. I said, you weren't confused enough to stop me on the street to ask me about your road and the holes. And there were some others too. And I just had a hard time, to be honest with you. Maybe we just didn't do a good job of educating about the lower millage rate. I'll be honest with you. I heard stuff, taxes gonna go up anyway. And but the one thing that the county commission has to deal with values increasing is the millage rate. We control that. And I think the offer, look, help us out, support it. We drop it a mill. That's considerable. So now I look at it and my wife is tired of me talking about it. But what if we raised it as to the amount that it was when I first got on the county commission, 8.48? Instead of, 6.65? What if we say, okay, well, if people don't mind the high millage rate, we'll go back up to 8.48. Now, I guarantee you, we would have a full house. So I just had a hard time because I have fought for lower millage rate whenever we could. And I ride around, I look at our roads. We are the road commissioners. That was the term. And so I think it's going to be more difficult to get anywhere where we need to be. I mean, we're going to do whatever we can, but it's just going to be more difficult. But I thought, you know, the lower the millage rate, that certainly, I think, helps anybody who has a piece of property. I think that was a really, and you know, with Costco coming and our other stores doing what they're doing, I think we're going to leave a bunch of money at the counter that could go to helping these roads. And they would be paid for by people from probably 12 counties. If you can help me with that one. I know our millage rate now is a lot better than it was when I came in 05. It was 8.48. And we've got it down and we were going to go again. So, but I do hope our football teams do well.
I have a follow-up. Since next year is an election year, could T-Splosh go back on the ballot? What's the policy? How quickly could it?
I think a lot of
come back?
states, you only have to wait for a year. So I guess I don't know technically. I'm not sure there's any appetite up here to do it that quickly or not. Well, somebody, go ahead.
Isn't the T-Splosh every 10 years?
I didn't.
Isn't the T-Splosh every 10 years?
No. It's similar to a SPLOST, and if it passed, it would go 5 years. You could renew after the 5 years. I believe on a failure, it's 1 year. I'm not 100% certain. Either way, like I said, I don't think there's any appetite to rush back into that from this group anyway. If you come to the mic, just tell us your name and ask you a question.
Good evening. I apologize. I'm late. I was told the meeting was at 6:30, so I probably missed out on a lot. I just, my main question, and I apologize if you're going to be repeating yourselves to these people, but what was the money for the roads? What roads are we talking about that we're going to put the money towards? Obviously, they're starting something out there on Experiment Drive, and I don't know how we're going to get through that, but I guess we will. So that was just my question.
You're talking reference to a road paving program or the T-Splosh that failed?
No, I know it failed. My husband and I weren't informed at all that there was any election for our area. We live out off of 15 and Greensboro Highway, and we didn't even know that we were supposed to vote. So I apologize that we didn't vote because we certainly would have. I'm not in favor of raising taxes, but I'm in favor of a temporary tax, you know, to improve roads because this county is growing crazy, and I just can't believe the traffic already, and we don't even have residents in the new area on Main Street yet, so I don't know what you're going to do with all these people. But
so right now we have an engineering study underway now where they've come out and done some technical review of all the roads outside the city limits. And so that process is underway. We'll come up with a ranking of roads that need to be paved and also go back and look at our methods of how we pave and how all that works. And we'll come up with a master plan. And just as the funds come available, we'll start clicking off that list. But that list is not complete yet. So as soon as it is, we'll be able to put it out for everybody to look at.
And where can we go to follow what's going on?
OconeeCounty.com. We have our website. You can sign up for all kinds of notices on when we meet. We have Facebook as well, where we're shooting out all our announcements as they come.
All right, thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Yes, ma'am.
John, it's the county roads that we're responsible for, not the
Yes.
state roads. So she mentioned about the Experiment Station Road. We don't.
Yeah, that's county roads only, not the state routes. The state route on 53 that's being done, Experiment Station Road, is state funding for that. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Joanna Fidel. You were just mentioning that they're doing they're studying which roads to do first. See, I thought we already had that. Don't we have a transportation study?
The transportation study was an overarching, looking at intersection improvements and future. What we're doing now is a study of the quality of each road in the county. So we get a true ranking and a scientific method of what roads get paved and when.
Okay, so that's for the quality of the road and the pavement,
Yes, ma'am.
not which ones that, according to traffic, need to be looked at first.
That's correct.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
I'd like to say something too. The five of us don't pick them. We don't pick the roads. We let the experts determine which roads are going to go first. That's how we do it. And I remember there's something like 152 miles of roads right now that are in the category of what our roads department said really need help based on how they look at it. But we don't pick the roads. If you go out there in front of my house, it hadn't had any in a while. I get some rocks and fill the holes, but that's the whole issue. There are places like that all over this county. You can look at the patchwork that we've done, and really the only way to jump on top of it is to have another influx of cash coming in so we can jump on it.
Mr. Chairman, one clarification, we're not talking about building new roads. We're just talking about resurfacing the roads that we have, just taking care of what we have. So the money that we're talking about was not to build a new road to nowhere or a bridge to nowhere. It's actually just to take care of what we have today.
Virtual.
This is Pamela Hall again. I just want to make a comment about the T-Spliced. I think I agree with Chuck. I think y'all could have done a better job of educating the public. I know that there is a tendency, because you are the board and you don't want to appear to be overly political on something like this, but I think it would have been very helpful had more education been done to the public. I've learned more tonight from what little I've listened just in the last few minutes about what your intentions were. And maybe you said that somewhere. I don't know. The only way I get my information is from the local paper and Facebook and things like that. So I consider myself to be pretty well informed about what's going on. Just another thought about, the average citizen, I don't think really understands what 1 mil reduction means. So providing numbers, an example, a $450,000 house, a 1 mil reduction equates to this. Just to give you a concrete example of how I think it could have made a difference to the community, and to actually see what the impact would be to their pocketbook, and to have a timeline of when you were going to reduce the millage rate, should the T-Splice have been approved. That's just my thoughts. You say you don't have an appetite to do it in a year, but if you do have an appetite in a year or 2 years, I hope that that you would take the lesson from this is that there does need to be more education to the community in multiple ways of getting that information out to everyone. So thank you.
Thank you. And that is our biggest challenge, is getting people to look at the information that's out there. We broadcast on multiple channels throughout the T-SPLOS process. Even years leading up to T-SPLOS, we were talking about the desire or the need for the roads. Our last town hall was devoted specifically to T-SPLOS, where we talked about dropping the millage rate 1 mil for starting in FY 23, 24, 25, and 26 minimum. And we laid out, what amount of the projects were going to be for road paving, what was for intersection improvements. We even had some for pathway development that we looked at. We named specific locations that were on that as well. And it's hard to combat some. I mean, there's other Facebook groups out there that are just throwing stuff that was just not true and not accurate. We don't have the ability to counteract everything that's out there. But if it does happen again, it'll definitely be done different. There are limits on what the county can do as far as expending time and effort and money to run a campaign for a T-SPLOS or a SPLOS. So we are limited. And I think everybody up here was pretty open with our support of trying to get the T-SPLOS done. Thank you.
If I can add to what Pamela just said, yeah, Chuck's right. I think the voter turnout was like 10.8%, and that's not surprising because it was the only thing on the ballot unless you lived in the city of Watkinsville. But I would like to encourage the commission to consider putting it on the November 2022 ballot because, and John, you did, as Pamela said, used the term, maybe there's not an appetite. That's going to be a hotly contested race next year with the governor, Secretary of State, all these state senatorial and House slots open. We could easily have 85% voter turnout. And that would be interesting to see what the appetite truly is if 85% come to the polls as opposed to like 10%. And there would be time, Costco should be open. And then I think people will realize, let's let some of these other folks from the 12 other counties help pay for our roads. So I hope you'll consider putting T-SPLOS. I never thought I would say that, tax, but it's kind of, I think we'll come out on the better side of it. If maybe consider taking a look at putting it on the November 2022 ballot. Thank you.
Well, I agree with what he said. You're going to have a lot more turnout next election, I would imagine. But originally I was going to agree with what Pam was just saying. I really appreciate the town hall meetings. I find that there's a big lack of the ability to find the right information in the city and county. And you have to really spend time and dig for it if you want to find it. I suppose y'all don't have a secretary, I don't know, but if you have, my ideas are sending out a monthly one-page news shot, just getting information out to the people somehow, whether it's via email or putting it on Facebook I've done my own little study of city county websites, and ours is, there are a lot of really good websites out there that some small towns have, and that's certainly a way to make a website user-friendly, and the information, it just has to be big and bold and then easily on that first page, easy to click on. But educating people on what you're doing, I think that would be a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
I got one more comment. I know we're surrounded by technology and I understand that. I don't like a lot of it, but I understand it. But, we're still small town America. And I'm pretty easy to find. You know, and I would say to anybody, get in touch with one of us. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to get it to you as quick as I can. I think we're still positioned to where, town halls, I don't think anybody can accuse this commission of not being transparent. We're out here once a quarter, and we're known throughout the county. And I would suggest to folks like my friend that didn't vote for it, that I called for him to get his holes done. Get one of us. If you don't know, you need some help, you're just confused, pick up the phone. And the reason I say this, I'm not trying to be argumentative or anything like that, but during zonings, on a hot button zoning, I get wore out. And Mr. Snell remembers some years ago when we were dealing with the Hard Labor Creek Reservoir. Mark Saxon and I went, there was, I'd say 90 people or so. And they weren't all friendly. But we went. And so what I'm saying is, this is not Metro Atlanta. This is Oconee County. We're easy to get to. And if somebody's got questions about some of these issues, I still got a hard line. So people can call me, or they can send me an email through the county, and I'll do my best to help you. I may be able to or not, but I'll do what I can. But I think people are forgetting 5 of us are easy to find. So,
I'm sorry, are we done?
I'm through.
If you would come back to the mic, we do have people online that can't hear if you're standing there.
I agree with you about we're a small town, and I hate technology. Sorry to use that word. I like it for what it's useful for, but as far as interaction face to face, I would rather speak face to face with someone. However, it exists, and a lot of people use it, and I think that it's useful for relaying information. And I think as far as expecting people to pick up the phone and call you or email, it's kind of it's going to eliminate people, because some people just aren't going to do that. It's the best. It's a great way to go, but some people are too busy. Some people working, kids and whatever, and it might exclude people from, whereas they could just get that information on the website or somewhere and just go there at their own convenience. It might be 3 a.m, and get, especially if you want whatever you want done, get it out there and educate them about it. If you really want it, that T-Splosh and everything for the next time around.
And I would have to argue that we did do that. I don't know if you've been on there lately.
Absolutely.
If you would go ahead and if you go look at our website and you have suggestions, we're more than welcome to hearing your thoughts. There's more information on T-Splosh on that website than most people care about. And we have it set up so we'll send you an email and we're going to have a town hall meeting, or if you want to know when the Recreation Affairs Committee on Recreation meets, we'll send it to you and say, we're meeting this date and here's what they're going to talk about. And so it's there, and Facebook, we're on it.
The only other thing I would add to that is I'll go read that, but I'm not going to consign that to my memory. So I'm going to need to be reminded, in little snippets. And then after some repetition, I'll remember some things. So it might, if I go look it up, it might take me 5 times to go look that up for the details to get that in my mind.
Do you follow the county on Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Facebook's useful for, is things like this, not getting information like that.
I'll add to the conversation. So I'm kind of a news hound, and some very reputable sources to know that there's something like T-Splosh, how the commission feels about it, would be subscribe to Dr. Lee Becker's OconeeObservations.com. It's free. It's a great newsletter that pops into your email every morning, and he's written about the T-Splosh. I think he wrote that the commission endorsed it. And then Tim Bryan on WGAU Classic City Today, he's talked about T-Splosh. In fact, that reminded me the early day of voting because he mentioned it on the air. I distinctly remember because I came and early voted. That's a solid source, and also the Oconee Enterprise. And they do a good job, I feel, and I believe there was something in the Enterprise that the commission was in favor of T-Splosh. So those are 3 really good sources for people that aren't here that are watching virtual to keep an eye on what's going on with the county. And I would encourage you to do that. And then one other road-related question, and John, you had mentioned about the engineering maybe wrapping up for the roundabouts. Do you have an update on the Snows Mill cut through? Because I think that was, whether it's going to permanently close or reopen, was dependent on the engineering.
Yeah, so that roundabout is still under consideration. Once the concept's approved, then I think we'll bring it to the board with a recommendation to either close it permanently or turn it back on. So probably going to be first quarter of next year when that's addressed.
I guess I would call these infrastructure comments. First of all, I'd like to say some positive things. I really like roundabouts. I had never been in a roundabout till my wife and I went on vacation over to Great Britain, and we, and I hated them over there, but I think they move traffic better than a stop sign. They're safer than a stop sign where you got somebody coming 60 miles an hour the other way. And you don't have the frustrating situation when you show up there at 11:30 at night and there's not a car in 200 miles that you sit into a traffic light. So I like a roundabout. I think they're, not in every situation, but I think there's probably more places in this county where we can do roundabouts that will keep traffic moving and keep it safer. So I'm patting y'all on the back and telling you more on the roundabout thing. I want to speak personally about roads, just because I haven't seen your transportation plan, don't know and this is purely personal. My wife goes down Goga Road and turns right in front of High Shoals Elementary every morning going to work. And I pray that she don't get hit by a dump truck coming over the hill, up that hill from the High Shoals Bridge. We got that school sitting there with an officer out there in the mornings, and I've just noticed it's gotten worse and worse with high-speed traffic coming up over that hill. And, the sight distance isn't long there. So when you're turning right out of Goga Road, you better be looking left when you turn right. And it worries me about the school being right there too. If somebody in a dump truck that not familiar with our county comes up over that hill, and I don't know, that particular intersection worries me. The other intersection that I know y'all got to be familiar with because of the number of accidents is where Ray's Church Road crosses State Route 53. I have personally seen 2 terrible accidents there. And my wife also drives across that every day going back and forth to work. And I don't know, I guess what I would ask y'all to consider is I view a roundabout as like a creative alternative to safety. It's a pretty creative idea. I don't know if there's things you can do like at that Gover Road 186 intersection or at Ray's Church and State Route 53, where maybe just a simple caution light, a little blinking, caution dangerous intersection or caution school ahead, something to get people to slow down a little bit, approaching those two intersections in particular. Because I think y'all know, you've seen the accident reports that Ray's Church 53 intersection in particular is dangerous. And on the T-Splost, I voted for it. I support it. I think if you brought it back to the table in a general election where you had a turnout, it would get passed. So I encourage you to do that also. Another part of infrastructure is this whole internet thing. I just want to commend you for doing something. It's been a long time coming, and I think all I would say about it is push it as hard as you can. I think internet in our world we live in today, unfortunately, and I don't like technology either. I'm old, gray-haired man that I wish we didn't have the internet, but we do. And I would argue that in our modern world, and we saw this with COVID when we had kids at home trying to do Zoom classes at home, I can tell you that did not happen in our house. You cannot get a Zoom in our house. I couldn't come to this meeting on a Zoom call because I don't have enough internet to do that. And so what I'm saying is, in my situation, if you want to run a home-based business of any kind, you cannot do it without a functioning internet. And so my argument to you guys is I view internet now as like electricity was in the 1930s. And our federal government's got involved and they forced electric companies to run power poles 10, 20 miles to a farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, because they said every American home is going to have power. And I would encourage y'all to take that same attitude toward the internet, meaning that everybody in Oconee County is going to have high-speed internet because you have to have it in this world we live in. And, if there's ways to incentivize a provider to do it faster, I would highly encourage you to do that. Please, give them performance incentives in their contract, whatever it takes to get. I'm sure we're not the only county they're going to be laying cable in, and if we can provide performance incentives or do anything we can do to get them to do it sooner than later, then you'll have my appreciation and my admiration for doing that. My last comment on infrastructure, and I've been out of this a while, and Chuck mentioned it, but I would love to hear just a comment or two from some of y'all about future growth, what you see, water needs as it relates to that future growth. I mean, I got pretty heavily involved in that project, and I was pretty appalled at the projections that I saw. That whole project down there was based on a document that had population projections in it. And they were wildly inaccurate. If you look at that original document back in 1997, and then when it got updated in 2009 or whenever that permit started to expire and it got updated, the need for that big project was based on some pretty outrageous population statistics. In other words, if you look at that document today, does anybody in the room know what Oconee County's population is today? Is it
42,000.
42,000? I'm pretty sure that the document used to justify the need to spend all that money for that reservoir said that Oconee County was going to have almost 100,000 people today. So it wasn't just sort of wrong, it was like off the chart wrong. And I'm not questioning the fact that we pulled the trigger and we got some future water rights, but what I am concerned about is I've been in a county before where I've seen unfettered growth, and it was tied to water in Gwinnett County. They had unlimited water in Lake Lanier, and they used it. And I don't want to see that happen to this county. And so what I'd love to hear is just y'all's comments about where you see the county going in terms of growth. Are we going to have subdivisions on quarter-acre lots on slabs that are tied to county water and sewer? Are we getting ready to do a sewer expansion to enable developers to do that? Because I'm against all that. I'm against any kind of, growth that is not, that's going to contribute to these road problems and traffic problems and crime problems that it brings with it. And I'd just like to hear y'all comment on that part, population growth, water, sewer in the future, that kind of thing.
On a couple things, the internet incentivizing the company, that's exactly what we're doing. $1,000 per connection plus $200 extra for anything connected in 2022. We're already working on a roundabout at Ray's Church and State Route 53. That's
My house is $1,200. I'll contribute an extra $200.
all right. We'll see if we can amend the contract. $1,200 per connection from you as well.
$1,200
For every connection or just your connection?
just mine.
Okay.
For now, I can probably get everybody on the street to do the same thing if you want to.
And then as far as growth, I think if you go back and look at what you're looking at, that in the early 2000s, Oconee County was on a trajectory to hit I don't think 100,000 was the number in that document. I may be wrong. There was a lot of stuff happening in the early 2000s that were setting us on a course where our population would be probably right now over 60,000. And a lot of that had to do with residential sewer. This commission has set a percentage that's available for residential, and we're holding to that. All the water, even with the expansion that we're fixing to do the sewer plant, that number is overcommitted based on what was done in the early 2000s. So even with the expansion, there's no immediate availability of residential sewer. And our goal is to maintain that for commercial growth. Right now, 60% of our collection of property tax is coming from homes. So we want to balance that out. I mean, the ultimate goal would be 50-50 if we could, but that's a big jump to do that. So I think if you look at the policies and decisions we've made over time, we're supporting a smart, steady growth, similar to what we're seeing now. It's not outrageous. The schools are seeing increases that they can handle, and we're doing the same. And we're following that comp plan where, water lines are not going to nowhere. A lot of that was probably happening in some of the counties you mentioned. There's set master plan for water and sewer, and we're sticking to that with how we fund it. So if anybody else want to.
Just to follow up, I know in that original thing, and I know what happened. We all lived through the 2007 crash in the real estate market, and all of a sudden, instead of growing exponentially, growth stopped. But that thing came up for renewal, and we all knew that growth wasn't real, and we still use some of them projections. But what do you see happening? Do you see more? You don't see what you're telling me is you don't see a lot of commercial sewer lines going down highways to do a bunch of subdivisions, and that, as far as I know, do you anticipate we're going to ever use that water at Hard Labor Creek or need it? I mean, I know that if I remember in them projections, we weren't going to need any of that water till we got to 80 or 90, 100,000 people. And I'd like to know, since we all help pay for that reservoir, are we getting some return on that investment right now? In other words, are we selling Gwinnett County enough water to pay us back? I mean, how is that working, is what I'm asking, is because we all know we spent millions to build that reservoir. And we built it on the premise that it was going to one day benefit this county. And I know Walton County put a Bear Walton up there, did a sewage treatment plant on the Appalachian River as part of that project. So they got a benefit out of it already. And I know, if I'm not mistaken, Gwinnett County's buying water up from that reservoir because they've run out of water at Lake Lanier. But is that not true? I see Chuck shaking his head.
That was, we got the chairman down there, but I think we need to, I know of no water being sold coming out of Hard Labor Creek. There's no pipes.
Okay.
There'd be a lot of buckets. And it would be Walton County doing it, toting them. But there is no pipe. There is no pumping station to get water out of Hard Labor Creek right now. Now, there was an issue that came up back, what was it, late summer, where Walton County wanted to do a water treatment plant. And I had questions about it, I voted against it because my concern is if Walton County goes after it too quick, Oconee County may not be ready to get into that kind of debt with our water department.
So if they did it, a treatment plant, we would end up having to be part of it? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
I mean,
I think so, but that's, but it's not there yet. Let me also say too, I think when Wayne Haney was our utilities director, Wayne said some things that I think was very important because he said we were in good shape for water with our growth until what, 2045, I think it was, something like that. Because we had not done everything that we can over at Bear Creek.
right.
I think they're just now high rating some of the pumps, which would give our 12% actually more water. So all I can say is I tried to say down there on the river that I don't know when there will be a water treatment plant. I think Walton County will be the ones that go after that plant first. They're not water producers.
But Bear already built one that's dumping in the Appalachia, right, on the upper end?
Well, I don't know what Bear County's doing exactly with the river. Somebody else may do it. But I'm talking about Hard Labor Creek. Hard Labor Creek is a reservoir without a pumping station, without a water treatment plant.
So nobody's getting water out of there right now? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, as far as I know.
That is correct.
So, I mean, just tell me, and I'm not being ugly about this, I just want to make sure I understand it. But basically then when we did the bond issue and we helped pay for all that, we all got a piece of we're all part owners of this beautiful little reservoir down there. And if we want to get our money's worth out of it, we better go fishing because we don't need it in the foreseeable future for our county water needs. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, I mean, first of all, we're not going to, we don't have an unlimited supply of water. The future does say that we need water. There's no question about that. We're lucky to be invested in a couple of different places, Upper Oconee Water Basin and the Hard Labor Creek. So we invested for the future of this county to have water at times when we need it. I can't tell you when we're going to need it. No one knows when we're going to need certain things like that. But I can tell you that we're invested in the fact that when Oconee County needs it, we're going to have the ability to get it. Walton County is currently doing everything they can to get that facility built. They want to get it built because they got needs that they need to meet right now because they have a city controlled water and they need water just for the county and do other things for the county. So they are invested in trying to get that completed as soon as they possibly can. We don't know all the details yet of whether we're going to jump into it or whether we can stay out of it but they're still going to want water and they're going to get water as soon as
if they ask us as taxpayers in Oconee to help pay for that water pumping station for Walton County water, then obviously they would have to be a way that they paid us back, right? They would, when they pumped water, they'd owe Oconee County a piece of it. I'm an accountant, so I'm trying to figure out how I know we got this. And I'm not even disagreeing with the
Yeah,
fact
there's a lot of
that,
details to work out when that comes to fruition, because it's not here yet. They're trying to get the facility built currently, but those details are still got to be worked out, where our portion, our percentage is going to be, how it's going to be looked at, and how it's going to be utilized down in the future. Like I said, they're the big owners of Hard Labor Creek. We're just a small partner in it. So like I said, there are a lot of details that still got to be worked out about what will happen if they are able to build that facility. They're trying to get a grant currently to get that facility, because there's federal money that's coming down. So there's money out there that probably every state in Georgia's trying to get. We're trying to get it for Oconee Water Basin. We're trying to get it for Oconee County. So there's a lot of money out there. They just don't know how much big a piece of pie they're going to get and how much they're going to have to come up with. It may be years before they can come up with the money to do it too. Doesn't mean they don't want to ask for the grant money. They're just going ahead and ask for the grant money.
I also want to clarify that the Water Resources Department is an enterprise fund, so there's no general fund dollars going to fund any of this.
That's correct.
We do have some SPLOST money that the voters approved to go to infrastructure projects within the county, but all that's based on the ratepayers. They're funding all that. When we go to bond issues, that's totally based on the financial stability of the water system itself.
so what you're saying is it pays for itself
Yes. So
Yeah.
when you wrote your check last week,
we're not paying for it.
that money's not, if you're on the water system or the sewer system, you are putting that in. And some SPLOST money does go into projects to expand.
Yeah, I was just curious. I hadn't been involved in it as to, number one, who was drawing water, because I know in that request, Gwinnett County put their name in the hat saying, well, we might need some of that water, but I didn't know if we were pumping any out of it.
Pumping no water out of Hard Labor Creek at all right now. There's nothing going on down there but fishing, as you stated already. So it's
just a future
Keep in mind of
investment.
that. There's no water coming out or going anywhere else.
We've just got future water rights there in case we need it, is kind of what.
There's no doubt we're going to need it in the future. We just got to figure out, it may be long-term, but county's going to need water in the future.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, how are you? Julie Mock, I live in Summit Grove, and was just wondering, somebody told me that there was some misinformation on something on the 411 group, I guess, about the T-Splost, and I know I came out strong opposing it, and I'm just wondering what the information was that was incorrect.
You'd have to tell us. We hadn't mentioned it since we've been here tonight.
Well, I don't know. Somebody told me that you had, but either way, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know why I opposed it. I kind of did the math on what the sales and use tax savings would be for my family versus what the cost of the 1 millage point reduction would be. And it was pretty much a wash for us. I think that's kind of universal in the county. I would have loved to have seen y'all sell it by trying to tie it. I think if somebody mentioned something in that group about freezing the millage rate until you did away with the T-Splost, additional T-Splost rate. And I think that would have been great. But, as far as trying to give us any kind of benefit as being Oconee County citizens, I just didn't feel like there was any weight there myself personally. So I was just interested in your thoughts on that, on how that rounded out for you. And I think y'all were talking about possibly putting it on the ballot again. And I'm just hoping that you would just kind of sweeten the pot for Oconee citizens a little more if you do that.
Thank you. So I'm not, as you know, I gave you a call.
Yeah.
I'm not on your group, so I don't know whether you posted. I do know there was some false stuff on Facebook that I was given access to, not with your group. I have not seen anything related to your group.
Okay.
And when I learned you had a sign saying don't vote for, I called you up and just talked to you about, and that's the kind of way I operate.
I didn't actually buy those signs.
Yeah, I didn't say you did. I just said you were holding one. So when I see people that are, I tried that with a couple other folks, and a lot of them wouldn't even call me back. So I do appreciate you communicating with me.
Yeah.
You vote your conscience at the end of the day, and we're okay with that. And I just like to know why sometimes. So,
Yeah.
and you explained it to me, and appreciate it.
I get it. I just, like I said, if it does go on the ballot again, I'd like to see something a little more permanent to benefit the Oconee County citizens.
And I guess I would ask you to look at, if you did some calculations, you figured out a few things that helped your family and everything, I would actually ask you to look at what taxes would come in from the 12 surrounding counties. It's been mentioned here already, that's actually going to better you in the long run. How much would you save because of what we're doing in the county with those taxes we're getting from those 12 other counties? So, and T-Splosh would have given us that ability.
I get that, but you're talking, I guess in my mind, and based on what this gentleman was saying, you're talking about transportation and developing roads and things like that. And there are so many
No,
people.
that was never, it's never been said that way. It's really the improvement of the roads we currently have. That's
Yeah,
all it was
I
about.
guess I just don't see a lot of need for that myself personally, but that's just based on where I drive. But, if it's talking about development, most of the people here don't want development, new roads. It just kind of brings a lot of people in that people aren't looking for. So just a thought. I mean, I just feel like there's a way to do that you could make it benefit the Oconee citizens a little more.
I've been on the board 9 years, and since I've been on the board, the mill rate's only gone down. It's never went up.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent last couple of days in Savannah with a lot of commissioners,
Mm-hmm.
and sitting around talking to them, our mill rate's incredible compared to most of them. And and Chuck's been, like I said, he's been available for a long time here doing things, and he's witnessed 3 or 4 different mill rate reductions, 4 mill rate reductions.
Well,
Oconee County is blessed with the mill rate we have. It is a great mill rate compared to all the other counties around.
Yeah.
We're in the top 5 in the state of Georgia, if I'm correct, John, we're top 5.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about the mill rate, I don't get why we talk about the mill rate as often as we do, because our mill rate's been incredible for many, many years.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with the mill rate. I mean, but you're going to adjust it either through appraisals. I mean,
No, we don't adjust it for appraisals.
We don't do that.
I know, but it does happen. They're reappraised every year.
Yeah,
So, and mine's gone up every year since I've been.
But that's because of
Exponentially,
price.
so-
That's the way things are priced in the world today. Your adjustment on your home is based on the current prices that are put out there.
Right, I
But
get
the
that.
mill rate's not changing.
We've got some great housing prices here. So, I mean, it is income, and y'all are getting a lot of additional income from the COVID relief stuff. You've got Costco coming in. So I guess my feeling was it just wasn't a good time to tax the Oconee citizens. That's all I'm saying. If you could sweeten it up for us a little bit when you're getting this money from other places, it might go through a little easier.
But you did say it would be a net wash for your family. So
Yes.
the 1% increase
Yeah.
that you would have paid
Mhm.
would have been offset by, so your net tax burden
Well,
would have been nothing
No,
extra.
actually, that's not true. It was a wash keeping the sales and use tax rate what it is, but raising it a point, I didn't calculate that. So it would have been more in the sales and use tax, but that's on my property value and what we spend. So, I mean, somewhere in between, I mean, you're kind of netting a wash.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of tough because,
Right.
majority of the tax dollar, it
Right.
goes for education. We don't control that much of what you write your check for. We don't control that much. We're already at 665. So there's,
Just a thought.
Yep.
Thought I'd throw it out there.
thank you.
I will say, before you leave on the roads, I drive around all over the county, and I'm in that business. I build roads, I do that kind of thing. We're about 20 years behind on our maintenance, not building new roads, but maintenance. And if we continue this trend of not maintaining up to the current standard that we need to, then you're going to see more potholes, you're going to see more failures, you're going to see more sides and shoulders being treated with grass and things like that. And so eventually it's going to get to a point, it's going to cost a lot more money, and you're going to have to be doing full reclamation and those types of things. When I was growing up, the road in front of my parents' house was a dirt road, and now it's a paved road. We're at this point going to increase the width of the road by 2 feet. And so, some of that's problematic because some of these roads, like in that case, in our property, the property line went to the center of the road because that's what happened when you had a dirt road. And so you got prescriptive easements and things like that. So, there's a lot of complicated things in this transportation that people just don't realize. And so even adding the 2 feet, the ditches need to be pushed out further. The shoulders need to be widened. The back slopes need to be taken out. So you got trees that needs to be removed. So things like that are very costly. And, culverts are not long enough. Culverts have deteriorated over time. So those have to be replaced. And in today's time, that's very expensive to do those kind of things. And so there's got to be some means to be able to fund that. And if you don't want to fund it through sales tax, then you're going to have to fund it through ad valorem. And the ad valorem is the only option we're going to have now, since the sales tax did not, it was not successful. So.
Well, I appreciate that, to some extent I do. And I know y'all manage the money really well and you manage the growth, and I appreciate that. I'm a realtor and I want you to manage the growth. I'll find houses to sell, so, I do, I appreciate that. I just think the timing was really poor, and I think you could have sweetened it up a little bit more for the citizens. That's all. But I appreciate John. You do a great job.
Thank you.
I am looking at your website and I found this Oconee County Government Strategic Plan 2021 through 2024. It's green and blue, and it's a very nice format, colorful. You could replicate this in a lot of things and put different info in there and put it out. But my question here is, it says, identify additional tourism, community event, and historical preservation opportunities. Is two of the things that, if I had to pick two things that were top of my list, it would be educating the people and then getting those people together for fun. So when it says community event, I'm just wondering, would a July 4th celebration be under you all? Would you all have any hand in that? Would that be a community event that would fall under the board?
That'd probably fall under tourism. We've recently separated that out under the tourism group. And again, you can go up and sign up for their meetings and see when they meet. That may be something that they have funding for or moving forward.
And is tourism, is that under the county commission?
No, it's under the Visitors and Tourism Bureau that was created, I think, 2 years ago.
All right, so you had to help me out. Is that under Watkinsville or the county?
It's a standalone group. And for years, it was up under the county. And based on the research we've done, we felt like it would be better to have a separate group to be funded. So right now, we do provide some funding to that group, but they're mainly funded by, or will be funded by, hotel motel taxes as they increased in the county.
Okay.
So again, you can go to our website, you can look up that board, and you can sign up, and we'll send you out notices when they meet, and that may be an opportunity to go visit with them and see what
So
they
if I
think.
want to, if I really want a July 4th celebration next year, I would go there.
That'd be a good place to start, or if you want to start one yourself, that'd be great.
I don't have the skills or the time, or, I would need a lot of help with that. But I wanted to go ahead and mention while I'm here that I would really like to see that, a July 4th celebration every year, because we have a wonderful, like Heritage Park, it would be a great place to have it. We have a famous country singer that lives here who is very well connected to the oldest country singers and the newest, youngest ones. And I would love to see that happen. All right, thank you.
Thought I'd tell you a quick story before I go.
You sure you're not going to bribe us one more time?
That was facetious, remember? I guess back in January of this year, I was still in denial that I was turning 65 years old this year. And, or maybe I was so busy answering or trying to avoid all them Medicare phone calls about Medicare insurance. But somehow it was April or May before I realized, oh, I'm 65 this year. My property taxes are going to go down. And guess what? They're not going down this year. And so y'all, you can say, thank you. I'm paying a few thousand extra dollars to the county, I guess, this year at 65, because I didn't remember to fill out a form, and I don't remember what the deadline is. But I would encourage y'all seriously, I don't know if it's in your power to do so, but I would encourage you, I'd hate to think other people are in the same situation, you know, where they don't realize that, oh, I'm turning 65 in July or November, but, you know, 10 months earlier, I've got to fill out a form or I'm going to not get the old folks tax rate that's out there. And I don't understand. I guess part of me don't understand why it seems like to me it should be automatic. I mean, the county knows how old I am. And if somebody's 65 years old and qualifies for a lower tax rate, they ought to get it without having to remember, you know, 10 months earlier to fill out a form. And I don't know if that's in your purvey or your control, but if it is, I would encourage you to make it automatic. If somebody turns 65, their taxes go down. I don't think they ought to have to fill out a form or remember to do that, is what I'm saying. And that's my rant for the day, but it, you know, just, I'm serious that if it's in your power to do it, I'd encourage you to do it. And just make it automatic, because whether they filled out the form or not, they're still that same age when their tax bill comes due. So over and out.
Thank you. Anyone virtually still? Very good. Anybody else? Come on now. We won't do this till next year. Very good. Thank y'all so much for coming. We do appreciate it. We love it when, especially when we get new faces. That's awesome. As Chuck mentioned, we're all accessible. We know we don't have all the answers. Everything we do is a hypothesis. We think if we do this, this is what's going to happen. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we do want your input and engagement. And with that, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.